Oh, well, well, well. There you are, the living soul, the human being, the creature, the Homo sapien of the universe. Tukoriada, my friend, welcoming you to these chambers where athletics, sports, and everything else you want to talk about if you are interested. But today, let's begin by just introducing, I call it controversial, but I want to call it to a human, what is this? A human confirming issue. Because humanity, I don't know what you think of humanity. Is this something you passionate about? Is this something you love about human beings? Have you given up on humanity? Some of us, AI is overtaking us, some people say. That we want more something more artificial, more fake, something we can control with no autonomy. So we think AI is the next platform, is the next humanity. You take that and take it to your bank and see how it looks like. But anyway, that was my intro. As you subscriber, continue to do the right thing, talking to me through subscribing, viewing, and engaging as much as you can. Let me declare something here that is personal. And I think you guys, if you've watched some of my episodes in the past, I've been very passionate. I'm very unapologetic. I'm almost like I feel I'm on a crusade, the voice in the wilderness saying, repent or you perish. That's not what I'm engaging you guys in. What I'm trying to really highlight here is that LGBTQ is not a threat to any system in the world. Can I repeat that? People, human beings in that community of LGBTQ are not a threat to anybody. Hands down. They are not a threat. All they are asking is for their rights, their breathing space, their dignity, their respect. Down the channels of history, that's what people have been advocating. Women have done that. Some people of different colors have done that. And I think we need to be evolving to be better human beings. I say this in the context of sports. LGBTQ is not a threat to athletics. It's never been, it's just been made to be. And it's a propaganda of the highest level. Because it's taken a new form of hate, and more hate. Let me tell you something. It was sad to watch or listen to Castor Samenya, a woman from South Africa who was born with some complexity in her body. The genomics of her body were complex. So the scientists and people who study those subjects have told us. But she embraced to be a woman. She took that gender. She was assigned that by her parents. She lived all her lives. She's a gold medalist coming out of Brazil in 2016. She deserved it. She worked hard. She trained hard. And then the world says, no, she's a threat to the sport. Let's banish her. Let's ship her to Siberia of athletics. The last few weeks, she threw in the towels after long, tedious, expensive fight for her dignity and her space in athletics. It's a very sad story. It just continues to tell us that we are going to have these people in the universe. This planet is a better place when we have people who stand for something, for goodness sake. She's a woman who fought so hard. I suspect a bank account has been wiped out by advocates, legal team, who finally decided to say that, you know what, we cannot continue this, it's not sustainable. People are still going to hate, people are going to banish. She's been banished. She's given up. I don't know how to think of her giving up, but I'll say this. She's a hero in track and field and athletics community as a whole. To fight that long, to fight for something you believe in is something worth admiring. Some of us don't fight for anything. All we speak is right here. And when people do that, Castor Semenya, standing in front of European court and trying to go around the world for people to respect her on channels like this, maybe in South Africa, Europe, wherever, says, you know what? I'm a woman. I deserve a space in this planet. to compete, to participate in sports, continues to tell me one thing. We are going to have more of her, and I think athletics as a sport is not in a good place when they start to banish people like her. And people like Seb Core don't even advocate for that. I'm talking of the president of World Athletics. And so I say this from the get-go because the biggest challenge in athletics for me is people like Michael Johnson who don't pay the athletes. When you promise, when you design a league, a series, that you just gonna be the messiah of track and field and you don't deliver, it's a disservice. It's a demoralizing thing to athletes. As much as they've given you, they have been patient and graceful and waiting for you to play for them. That's not good for athletics. I'm going to address the monster in the room myself. The biggest challenge to track and field and its irrelevance in the global stage is finances as we know it and drugs. I'm talking of PED. Okay? Anything that enhances, anything that takes away from that human component in sports is dangerous for the sport. I say this because people will always say, okay, entertain us for a while, but once they find that it's been diluted, there's a compromise to what is pure and what is original as organic. People just get fatigued from that. And I think for me, track and field has suffered this decline since the 80s. I don't think people are very genuinely addressing this issue for me because I've been watching these patterns. Since Ben Johnson in 1988 ran a world record of 9.79 and he was busted and cheated, has found cheating in athletics, track and field has never been the same. And now, since track and field has never been the same, people are always asking, is that real? Because what you see sometimes is not what it is. People even have questioned Usain Bolt world records. Okay, people even question people like Faith Kipyegon, Eliud Kipchoge. I'm on a forum. People are asking those hard questions. Is that real? Is that time that somebody is running real? And I think that's the challenge that track and field is facing. First of all, we have a very small audience, and let's just agree with that. I bring this because the other day I alluded to something. I talked during the Chicago preview into Chicago Marathon, which was won by Jacob Kiplimo and Hawaii Fesia from Ethiopia. I talked to you guys about it yesterday. There's a conversation that was happening, and I think I alluded to that. The absence of Kenyan women in Chicago Marathon is a backlash from the Uchemngetich fallout and scandal last year. And I think Chicago is sending a very strong message to Kenya and those people who are cheating. If your community, if your country brings some of these disgraceful fallouts in our event, we're going to banish you from the next season or for the next series of whatever we are doing. If you didn't notice the absence of Kenyan women in marathon in Chicago, you must be asleep. Mary Ngugi Cooper, who has dual citizenship, I think. For me, I don't know whether she's England and Kenya. Is not a purist when it comes to Kenyan athletics. I'll give her that. Maybe she's Kenyan. She says that on the brackets. The ladies who are there were kind of entry level. They call them debut. So it was their first marathon. In other words, they don't have nothing. They are carrying no baggage coming into this marathon. That was a very strong statement from Chicago Marathon. We're gonna banish you. Talking of banishing, that precedence by Ruth Chemngetich last year of making the world think she was legit and to be found that she was cheating sends a very shocking wave, should have sent a very shocking wave in the athletic community. Let me tell you why. There was an interview done on NBC in Chicago. And before you know it, somebody picked maybe what I said or he had said it earlier. This is a coach from America, Ed Eyestone, who is a coach of the fourth place athlete who broke the American record, Connor Matz. He spoke and he quickly zoomed in on Ruth Chepngetich performance last year, quickly, because of drugs and doping and cheating, an enhancement substance that athletes use to get an edge in any sport. I'm going to quote this guy verbatim, and you think I'm the only one who is crusading, like they're becoming now like the mouthpiece for purifying the sport. I'm not. Don't forget, a few months ago, Gabby Thomas, she went radical on it. If you remember some of the episodes I talked about, Gabby Thomas even alluded to the fact that the ecosystem of cheating, the ecosystem of drug use in sports is not one person or two people. It's a community, it's an interworking, it's a collaboration between managers, coaches, I've talked about it, nutritionists. It's a family affair. The problem is that within that family affair, there's always what they call, for me, the Escobar. Pedro Escobar of drugs in the athletics is a massive undertaking. They make money, they know how to make money, and athletes know how to get that stuff. In the 90s, Marion Jones and the federal investigation into the mafia kind of setting in the drug war, you thought people are going to say, oh no, America seems to have found a way, but we still have coaches who are banned at one time. And I think that's what Gabby was talking about in her last statement, in one of the things she's posted, that coaches collude, collaborate. They know when their athletes are using drugs. They know. They are very aware. They are never asleep on that one, okay? Let me tell you what Ed Eyestone, the coach of Conor Mass, said. This is profound. And I think I'm glad, because I sometimes think I'm isolated in this course of trying to say, well, listen, we cannot continue this path of cheaters in a sport that is seeking a higher ground. This is what he said. We need to have a more out of competition testing. They are doing that in Kenya. They are finding a few, athletes who've been suspended. But I said one thing in my last episode. I think Kenyans has gone too hard without any accountability. I call it extrajudicial suspensions. Some of these cases, like the Zakayo Pingu I talked about, that I posted his case on Facebook, is one of those, and it could be many. I just said, yes, out of competition testing is good. He says it does work when it happens properly. I'll emphasize that word. He's agreeing with me to a certain extent, or most of the time, in this statement. Properly, with some due process. The other day, the Kenyan president had the guts and the gall to say we are going to be more professional. Quote, professional. How are you professional in Kenya? That's the question. And nobody is paying attention to the mayhem and the bad fallout on some of those athletes, because transparency in Kenya is anything but. Okay, so I agree with this coach. Then he continues. Also, there needs to be a heavier penalties. There has to be heavier penalties. Continues. I'm all in favor of the death penalty suspension from all competition if you test positive. One and done. That's the way it should be. He continues. I'm quoting him right here. And then also, these athletes aren't operating in a vacuum. Check my episodes. I don't think this guy is out of turn. I think this guy, maybe me and him need to hang out and just talk about these things. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's an ecosystem. They work together. Coaches and athletes work together to manipulate and cheat. It's not in a vacuum. It's not an isolated case. They have coaches. I've just talked about it. They have agents. I know that. They have mentors. These people are leading them astray. Really? I think they collaborate. It's not leading them astray. Yes, I agree. Coaches have powers that are unprecedented and unchecked. Let me tell you something else. He continues, if we have athletes that are testing positive from certain systems, these managers should also be disqualified. I agree with him. I don't think I'll add to that. It's interesting that this comes up now, because if you watch some of my episodes, I'm not telling you to go watch them. You can read them somewhere else. But I'm saying there's some episodes I've talked about what I call a drug system that is run in Kenya. And yet, when we heard the other day, the ADAK, the Athletic Anti-Doping Agency in Kenya, they say they arrested a guy by the name of Malik from India, who supposedly is a conduit to some of these drugs in Kenya. And people, the ADAC was like giving up some press statements and said, we've got him. They got him? What about agents like Gabriela Rosa, whom I've talked about in one of the episodes, who's had more than 10 athletes who have come out of this coaching system, and he's the agent, and his son is a doctor, or he's a doctor himself, Rosa. He has had almost 10 athletes at the top end, including Asbel, Kiprop, who've been found to have used drugs. He was arrested. I've talked about it many times. You can read online too. He was arrested in 2016. The Kenyan government was trying to go hard and figure out this guy, Rosa. He's free. He has a home pretty much in Kenya. And he's a powerhouse. Can I call him a lord in athletics in Kenya? Yes, he is. And he has recruited local Kenyans to make sure he's always safe. I know that for a fact because that's how Kenya operates. We have the lords and we have some minions over here. I think this guy, Federico Rosa is his name. You can check some of these things are online. I'm not making these things up. I'm just saying this because one of the things people don't know about Federico Rosa is how powerful and how long he's been in Kenya, since the 80s. He's established a network in Kenya that is so powerful. He's really a threat to athletics. Can the legal and the judicial system expose him? You think they will? They will never do it, my friend. It's all about money, my friend. These people have money. Let me tell you how powerful this guy is. He's been associated with 5 world marathon majors champions who've been banned from doping. I said 10. I'm talking of marathon. Marathon, we just came from Chicago. The winner of Chicago Marathon is Jacob, you want to call him, Kiblimo, a Ugandan. Guess who is the manager? Guess who is the agent? This dude, Federico Rosa. I didn't say anything about that, but I'm just saying the fact that his past is full of dead bodies, if I may say. If we can just go to his closet and find out what is going on. And yet we, in this side of of athletics, are saying, it's all good. He ran 2:02 for 23, almost broke the world record. We're like, okay, he's been tested. Ruth Chemgatich, guess who's the agent? Same guy, Federico Rosa. Am I alluding to something? I'm not a legal mind here. I'm just saying you can never fall very far from the tree. Just saying. Associations, my friend, is always associations. And I like what this coach is saying, Ed Eyestone here. He's saying they never operate in a vacuum. Ruth Chemgatich did not just go to Chicago without the knowledge of Rosa, Federico. All these other athletes who've won marathons in major countries and major marathon events, they did not go out there without consulting their agents and their coaches. You can put everything together, my friend, and if you're serious, and WADA is serious, if they had the legal powers and the money, they'll go after the drug laws of athletics. I finished by saying this. Castor Samenya, the LGBTQ of this world, people are just trying to participate in athletics in different gender, in different whatever form they're in. They are not a threat to athletics. What is a threat to athletics is what this coach is talking about. Agents, coaches, the network, the ecosystem that is rotten with cheaters and drug lords. That was my episode, my friend. Talk to you later. Continue investigating. What do you think? I'm not making it up. You can always tell me what you know about drugs and athletics, dopers and athletics. It's not happening in a vacuum, my friend. I'll talk to you later.